Today we're going to cook some sausage and chicken gumbo on my Weber Summit Kamado. You don't actually need a grill to cook gumbo, but I like to bring it outside. It just leaves all the cooking odors and all the mess out here. Plus it opens up a whole new world of flavor when you use wood and charcoal to cook. If you guys aren't familiar with what gumbo is, it's a thick Cajun stew, and I'm not trying to start any arguments here, but I think it's better than chili. I'll go ahead and put up all the ingredients I'll be using on the screen here, and all this stuff's pretty easy to come by. You can go to any local grocery store and pick this stuff up. The first thing I'm going to do is light some charcoal and then get this thing set up to smoke, because I'm actually going to be smoking the chicken thighs and also the sausage. I got 2 of these Weber charcoal baskets. I'm going to put one on each side of the grill, and I'm going to fill them with lump charcoal and also 1 piece of hickory wood in each basket. And that'll give us a good even heat source, and I'm going to dump this lit charcoal right on top. And what that'll do is slowly smolder and smoke while our chicken and sausage is cooking. So when you're cooking with charcoal, usually one of the most important things is how you set your grill up. And here, as you can see, I've got the charcoal baskets situated in the bottom chamber, and then I'll put the upper grate on and then a water pan on top of it. I added this water pan in here because 1, it keeps the cook chamber moist, but also it catches all the drippings from the meat. Next, I'm going to set the bottom vent to the smoke setting, and what this does, it just restricts air to your fire so it'll burn at a lower temperature. We're aiming for about 250 degrees here. And here I've got some fresh and dewy sausage that I got from a local butcher, and I've got some Creole seasoning, and blackened seasoning that I'm going to use on the chicken. As far as sausage goes, you can use whatever kind you want. You can go to your local grocery store and get, any kind of smoked sausage to put in there. But I like to go to the local butcher and get this fresh and dewy. It's probably one of the best things to use in gumbo, but I know it's probably not available to everyone. So whatever kind of sausage you want to use. Now I'm just going to throw this chicken and sausage on here to smoke for about 45 minutes to an hour. And like I said, it's about a pound of chicken and about a pound of sausage. The sausage and chicken are done, so I'm going to slightly change the configuration of this grill. I'm going to move both baskets to one side. That way there's a hot side and a cool side. And we're going to get ready to start cooking our roux. What I'm going to do now is get all of our vegetables and meat chopped up and ready to go before we actually start cooking roux. Because if you've ever cooked roux before, you know you don't want to burn it. So I would recommend, once you start cooking, don't walk away. As far as vegetables go, I've got some green bell pepper, some celery, and some white onion here. And that's a pretty common staple for a lot of Cajun cuisine. But also, when I make gumbo, I like to add poblano pepper and jalapeno pepper. And these are both optional, and if you don't do spicy, I definitely leave the jalapeno pepper out. Now that our vegetables are all done, we're going to come out to the grill and start cooking roux. I plan on doing this with the lid open, so when I do this, I always close off the bottom air vent. I do apologize for this shot. I made a slight camera angle mistake, so you can't actually see what I'm doing, but I'm taking our oil and dumping it into the cast iron Dutch oven, and when that starts to smoke, I'll slowly put the flour in while I continuously stir. And also, once you do this, you have to keep stirring continuously and don't walk away because you don't want to burn your roux. One thing that's worth mentioning here, when I cook roux over charcoal, I like to use the hot and cold side, and I'll move this pot back and forth from the hot and cold side. And that just helps to prevent the roux from getting burnt. Because when you cook with charcoal, if you've ever cooked with charcoal, you know that fire can get super hot, especially when you're cooking with the lid open. You just want to keep stirring this, and I say it's done when it's about the same color as peanut butter, and that'll give you a nice dark roux and a good rich flavor. In this next shot, I tried to show you guys a close-up of what it looks like when it's done. The next thing you want to do is start adding your vegetables, and you want to add them in slowly. And you also want to be very careful when you do this because this roux is hot. It's about as hot as caramelized sugar gets, so just be careful. You don't want to burn yourself with oil or anything like that. And always keep stirring. So we've been stirring these vegetables around in the roux for a couple of minutes now, and the roux itself has taken a much darker color, and this is what's going to give you a nice rich flavor. I actually have to run to the garage to get a cooking beer, and you'll see why later on. At this point, our mixture is really thick. It's almost like a paste. And now you want to add your garlic. You always want to add your garlic at the end, so you're careful that it doesn't burn. This is where we're going to add our cooking beer. I just add a couple ounces just to deglaze. Also, I'm going to start adding chicken broth to this mixture slowly while we continue to stir. And you have to continue to stir and add this chicken broth slowly so that way you don't develop lumps in your gumbo. I added about 1.5 quarts of chicken broth here, and you can add as little or as much as you like, and it's going to depend on how thick you want your gumbo. Next, I'm going to add about 1.5 teaspoons of Creole seasoning, and I think it was about 1.5 tablespoons of cracked multicolored peppercorns. I may go a little overboard with the cracked pepper, but just use that at your discretion. Next, we're going to add some thyme, and we're really starting to bring everything together now. It's starting to look and smell like gumbo. It smells amazing. But this is what makes a good pot of gumbo, when you have all these flavors that just kind of meld together. I've got our pot of gumbo directly over the charcoal, and now the only thing we have to add is the meat and also the bay leaves. And then once you bring it to a boil, you're actually done. You have gumbo. But what I like to do is I like to pull it off to the side after it comes to a boil, and then leave it on the grill and simmer for a couple hours, or not. You don't have to, it's optional. But some of the best gumbos I've ever made, they roll on the smoker like all day. I'm putting another chunk of hickory wood directly over the charcoal just to add a little bit more smoke flavor. So, like I said before, I'm going to move this over to the cool side and let it simmer for a couple hours. I actually added a little bit more chicken broth because when you let something simmer uncovered, it'll tend to thicken up on you. So I added a little bit more chicken broth. Now I'm going to set the bottom vent back to the smoke position. That way we can slowly simmer. Okay, so our gumbo is all done. It's been simmering out there on the grill for about 2 hours. So I brought it here in the house so I could show you guys how thick it is and the texture. This is how I serve gumbo when I make it at home. I always serve it over white rice and then garnish with green onion. But these two things are optional. You definitely don't need white rice or green onion to enjoy a good bowl of gumbo. That concludes my gumbo video. Don't be afraid to try this at home. It's actually very easy. And like I said before, I think it's better than chili. But anyways, thanks for watching.